Hey guys, it's Debbie from What's Mama Cooking For Us. Of course, Justice has to eat as soon as I turn on the camera. But I'm just making holiday cookies. So I thought I'd show you how I start. First thing I do is I get out my recipes that I'm going to bake, which are chocolate Italian cookies, white Italian cookies, peanut butter cookies with little Reese's and Kisses. So that's two kinds, oatmeal and craisins, chocolate chip cookies with the M&Ms, and some cutout cookies, the sugar cookies. So first thing you do is get out all your recipes, go through them, see what you got already on hand and what you got to get at the store. And I did have a lot on hand, but I did have to pick up a few things, like, so I had extra flour, but I have flour and sugar and brown sugar and confectionery sugar already in these containers, but just to be on the safe side, always make sure you got plenty. So I needed oats, peanut butter, cocoa, my extracts, vanilla, almond, and I usually like to get rum, but they don't have it at Walmart. I got the cranberries. I bought these walnuts last week, so I didn't have to get them. I have cinnamon, raisins, my sprinkles. I like to get them at Sodders too, because they give you a good deal and a large variety. And food coloring, baking soda, baking powder, and some chocolate chips. Yeah, so, and I had Crisco. I got Crisco over here. And let's see. And of course, eggs and lots of butter. And I got milk in the fridge. So the first thing I do is I go through and open up everything, like I just opened up. Oh, and I got these holiday plates to put the cookies on to give as gifts, and I go through and I open up everything, like take all the wrappers off, set up a bag, which I already got started right here. Set up a bag, throw all that stuff in there, and then put what you can in your canisters or your jars or whatever you do. You know, you put them in jars or however you do it. And then go through and separate all the things you're going to use right now and the other things that aren't to the end, like the decorating part, such, etc., etc. And then, yeah, so I'm not sure if I'm going to take you on the journey of it all, but I just wanted to show you. Oh, did I say the milk's in the fridge? And the salt is over there, too. I forgot to put the salt out, but yeah. And so, yeah, it's going to be fun. So let's get started. Oh, and take your butter out. Definitely leave your butter out because overnight is best. And have your eggs at room temperature. And yeah. Okay. So then our next step is to go through and get everything out that you're going to need. So get your pans out, your bowls, your tools, wax paper. Make sure everything's clean. Sometimes we don't use some of these equipment except for certain holidays, and some things we use on a regular basis, but still make sure everything's clean because you're making these for other people and you want everything to be clean and nice. The butter's got to thaw, so my first recipe is going to be my chocolate Italian cookies, which are my favorite cookies of all time, but they call for Crisco, so we're going to use Crisco. We don't have to wait for that to thaw because it's already at room temperature. But then get out all your ingredients, so you make sure you have everything you're going to need, the measuring spoons, the cups, you know, and that way you're all set to go. It makes your life a little bit easier. And then what I did was I put all the sprinkles and all the extras over there on another side table because we don't need all that stuff right away. And all the other bigger products, the oatmeal, I put in a container and put all that stuff over there. I'll show you. So yeah, so it's out of the way so I can use this table for putting the cooled cookies. And then that way I won't need those for a while. And so, yeah. And this way, all your stuff ready to go. The oven's on. Set it for whatever your temperature calls for. And make sure you get out everything you're going to need for this recipe. And go ahead and get started. And this one comes with a homemade fudge frosting. And so I'm going to make that too. And just keep that ready so when they start coming out of the oven, cool them, start frosting them. Okay, so I'm going to get started. Now, I'm not going to do a recipe on this one, but all the other ones I will do a recipe for them. This one is like my mother's recipe, and I'm not ready to give it away yet. But yeah. All right, I got my chocolate cookies over there cooling. I'll show you in a minute. But I got these peanut butter ones that are going in the oven, and I'm gonna make them with the Kisses and the Hershey or the Reese cups. So this is, you can find this peanut butter recipe right on my YouTube channel. Okay, and here's my setup with the wax paper, and I got a bunch of cooling racks, but I just got this one out for right now because I'm still on this one batch. And this is my chocolate fudge frosting. I'm going to frost these cookies, and I'm going to put some sprinkles on them. And so, yeah, I'm working on some things and then starting on other things. And while these cool, those are in the oven, and those are coming out. And I'm cleaning up as I go. Yep, everything's all cleaned up. I've been washing the dishes as I go. So, keep everything clean. Wash up as you go. Makes everything a lot easier. Just another little tip. Okay, just a little tip. Once you frost your cookies, always put your sprinkles on at that moment. Don't get them all over like I just did, but otherwise they won't stick. So do it, do a few up, sprinkles, do a few more up, then do the sprinkles like that. Okay, guys, there they are. These are my chocolate tang cookies, and these are the Kisses and the Blossom there. Peanut butter. And this is just a batch I'm making. They're already paid for and ready to go out, so that's why I only made a small batch. I'm making them to order, and plus then I'm going to make some more for my friends and family, my neighbors. So hope these little tips helped and gave you some ideas, and see you guys on the next one. Hi guys, it's Debbie from What's Mama Cooking For Us, and today I'm going to make some oatmeal craisin, which are just dried cranberries, because they're red, instead of regular raisins. And what I do is I just use this little recipe called Vanishing Oatmeal Raisin Cookies, which you get off the lid of the oatmeal top. And I've been using it for years and years, and they come out perfect every time. So let's go over the ingredients. Okay. So in this bowl here, I'm trying to get my butter softened because it's cold in here. But actually I have two bowls, one for the flour and one for the wet ingredients, which should be, yeah. So I got the butter trying to soften it up because it's a little cold in here. But so the wet ingredients are a half a cup of butter plus 6 tablespoons, which is 1 stick and 6 tablespoons. So just cut it on the paper. It shows you, and actually it's just take 2 tablespoons off of a stick. Okay, so it's almost 2 sticks. And then you need 3/4 cups of brown sugar. Pack it in there really good. A half a cup of regular sugar. 2 eggs, which I'm going to put in a separate bowl. Don't never put it in your bowl. And a teaspoon of the vanilla. And then we also need, for our dry ingredients, 1.5 cups of flour and a teaspoon of baking soda. Let's see, I'm trying to look at this card. A teaspoon of cinnamon and a teaspoon of, half a teaspoon of salt. And 3 cups of the oats, old-fashioned oats. Well, I guess it says you can use the quick oats, but I always use the old-fashioned. And 1 cup of the raisins, or in my case, I use craisins for the holidays. So let's get started. Okay, guys, what I did is I just put this on my stove because I have it heating up for the cookies, but never melt it. But I just, got it to soften up a little bit. So here we go. So our recipe calls for 3/4 cups of brown sugar. So there's a little 3/4 mark there, but it doesn't have to be precise for that. And we also need a half a cup of white sugar. Whoops. Make sure you get that level. So a half a cup of white sugar. And then our 2 eggs. I always mix them do them in a separate bowl. And let's put those in. Or I meant break them in a separate bowl. Okay, and then our teaspoon of vanilla. Let's get that set. Okay, and there's our teaspoon of vanilla. And what I do is always put your top back on your vanilla so you don't spill it because it's expensive. You don't want to spill it. So then what you do, you can use a mixer for this part, but I usually just do it by hand. If I'm only making one batch, just do it by hand. Get it going, get it mixed up, and then start beating it. That's what I do. Beat it with this wooden spoon, and then use your scraper and scrape down the sides so you make sure you get it all in. And I'm just going to get that started, and I'll be back. Okay, so what I do is I get this going, get it mixing. Sometimes my hand gets tired, so I take a break from that. Like I said, you can use your electric mixer, but sometimes I'll take a break from that and I'll just set up the dry ingredients. And so we need 1.5 cups of flour. So 1.5 cups of flour. Let's see, let's look at our little recipe card. We need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And this is the soda, 1 teaspoon. Always make sure you get it all in there. We need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Just double check. There's the recipe, guys, so in case you missed my measurements. 1/2 teaspoon. 1/2 teaspoon salt. And we also need a teaspoon of cinnamon. And I usually put a little extra because I like mine to taste really cinnamony. So I put like a little bit of a heaping. So and that's it until we get to the oats and the craisins. So what I'll do is I'll take a little fork or, a whisk. Give that a nice light toss. You can sift it if you want. I don't usually. But that just gets everything incorporated together. Okay, so then we just take this and set it aside and get back to mixing this. And I just don't want to be shaking the camera all over the place while I'm stirring this. But let me get that ready and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm getting tired out, guys, from mixing my mix. But just make sure you get down under there and it should look like nice and soft and yummy. Almost the same kind of batter, but for the chocolate chip cookies. But yeah, so just beat that really good. And what I didn't tell you guys is that I'm making a few batches of cookies, so I'm just leaving all this stuff out. And usually it's a lot of the same ingredients. Then when you're done with the ones that you're not using anymore, put them off to the side and we don't need them no more. So this is all ready to put our dry ingredients, and I just put a little at a time, like half, and just fold it in really nice. It's really soft, and I love this part. The part I was just doing is called creaming, and I love that's my favorite part too. But then when you put this in there nice and light, take your spatula, get it all in there. And then let's put our other half. And I save this bowl, use it for the next round. And this one I'm working in right here, I'm just going to wash out real quick and start the chocolate chip cookies or whatever cookies you got next on your list. And I just keep using the same measuring spoons as long as they don't get wet. If they get wet or, junk yucky on it, then we just wash them up too. I got our oatmeal ready, which is 3 cups. So I got this is a 2-cupper, and that's a 1-cupper, and 1 cup of the craisins, and we're almost ready. So let me get this stirred, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got this all stirred up really good, and then I also forgot to tell you that I always go over the ingredients, make sure I got everything, the right amounts, and if not, sometimes you can just add, or sometimes you have to start over if you did the wrong amounts, but sometimes it's easy and you can just add. So let's put in our 3 cups of oats. And these are still clean. We can just reuse these. This one I used for flour. And then you just got to give that a good stir. It's going to be a little tight at first, but, you know, once you get going, and then you add in your 1 cup of craisins, and now all of our ingredients are in, and we just got to give it a mix. And I have my oven set at 350. So let me get that mixed up. So yeah, it only takes a minute to get that all mixed, and I take my rubber scraper, scrape it down, make sure you're getting everything in there. And I meant to tell you, we're going to cook these 8 to 10 minutes. And this makes about 4 dozen cookies. But that's if you make them by a teaspoonful. Or let me see. Let's see. Yeah, around a tablespoonful on an ungreased cookie sheet. But yeah, so I'm just going to give this a little bit more mix, and that's all set and ready to go. Okay, so I'm just taking a tablespoon, or like a regular spoon you used to eat with, and putting them on the thing. And I usually take my finger and pinch them and make them into like little, with clean hands, of course. Everything clean in the kitchen, definitely clean hand. And I just kind of form them, and they don't have to be perfect, but I like to make sure like the raisins are inside, the craisins. And we're going to put them in the oven, 8 to 10 minutes, and I'll show you what they look like when they come out. Oh, I can't wait. They're going to be so good. And homemade cookies don't have to be perfect. They just need to be cooked with love. Take your time. That's what makes things taste better, is because you put your time and your effort. If you just want to throw it all in there and throw it all together and don't care about leveling things and doing things exactly to the recipe, because baking's more like a science than cooking, where you can play around a little with cooking, but with baking you have to stick with the script. But I've put the oats away, I put the cranberries away, the cinnamon, put them all back in the pantry because we don't need those no more. And we're going to start the chocolate chip cookies, so we'll be back. Okay guys, my oatmeal raisin cookies came out. They took 10 minutes to cook, and they look delicious. Let's go in there and look. Ooh, And I like them a little undercooked in the beginning, because then they get a little harder as they sit. They still cook a minute on the pan. I'm going to go put them on the cooling rack. Okay, so I have them sitting over here on the cooling rack, and I'm going to let them cool completely.